Welcome to Your Choice and Your Freedom with Ron Green. Experience Texas opinions from a man who's sick of PC arguing and is ready to get solutions for real issues facing Americans.
And welcome to the Ron Green, or actually Your Choice, Your Freedom, with your great, lovable host, Ron Green. And today we're going to play the blame game. You know, that game you played in elementary school. You know how it was always somebody else's fault, and then you got a little older and it was still somebody else's fault. And now you're all grown up, and guess what? It's still someone else's fault. I know I've never done anything. I mean, it's always somebody else's fault. In this case, I have two guests to blame everything on if this show goes down the tubes. We're welcoming back Aaron Knight, who is a outspoken liberal. I've been trying to help him with that. You have to actually commit to the program, Aaron.
No, I'm thinking good.
And we also have with us a radio legend, Butch Lord, who toured with Tommy Chung and did not bring me a paper.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I'm not allowed to. You're supposed to have smoked those.
Well, that's a lot of pot, dude.
No one had that much money.
He should have, right. I was going to say he should have sent a check, too. You know.
Right.
Anyway, we're going to talk about the blame game, not, you know, like we did when we were kids in school, but about the way it's passed around in politics, how everything is always the other guy's fault. Now then, from my perspective, the right's right, it's the left's fault. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that all the ills of the country started with the Raw Deal. Some people call it the New Deal. I personally see it as a Raw Deal. What was I saying?
Don't you hate every deal, though, that comes from the government?
Pretty much.
I mean, you just want to break the whole thing down,
pretty
right?
much. Yeah, the FBI is probably going to knock on the door any minute saying that I'm advocating for the overthrow. But I'm not. I'm just saying that we need to elect more people like Trump who have no political experience but real life experience.
Yeah, his life was just one for the blue collar books, isn't it?
Well,
He really knows how to live as an American.
Maybe we should go more like Rockefeller or J.P. Morgan. Well, no, J.P. Morgan was more like Trump. But
what about the Virgin Airlines
Carnegie.
guy?
Yeah, the Virgin Airlines guy, that would work. Or
Richard Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson.
I would say the Facebook guy, but he's a total frigging idiot. So, I mean,
He'd be right up your alley.
He's good at stealing other people's ideas. Other than that, I don't know.
Wasn't he didn't the CIA start that Facebook thingy with that kid?
Oh, yeah. He's totally in their pocket.
Right?
Yeah. Who knows what they got on him?
Right, because they would never.
He probably colluded with the Russians to get Facebook going.
No, it wasn't the Russians. It was our own CIA.
Well, yeah, but the CIA was colluding with the Russians to
well,
get
that's
the
definitely-
Facebook thing going.
That's definitely.
I'm pretty sure that's the way it is.
I think on the
Everything
on the big
is
scale,
the Russians' fault.
So we've established that Facebook is actually a Russian organization.
Right. It is a Russian-run organization trying to influence our dog catcher elections.
But you
Do
don't.
not let the Russians pick your dog catcher.
But you don't think that when they came up with the idea to do that Facebook, when it was a CIA thing, it was like their motivation was the fact that there's no way you're going to update where you're at and who you're with and what you're doing to them directly. But boy, you'll sure do it to the Facebook.
Oh man,
won't
people
you?
are idiots. They're idiots. Oh, I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks. Please come rip me off. Yeah, I don't put anything on Facebook, not even my face.
Are you not on the Facebook?
Well, the show's on the Facebook, but
Right.
me personally, I've got my name on there so I could go spy on other people.
Right.
But no, you ain't gonna find out shit about me.
Really?
You go to my Facebook page and it's all blank. And I get this message that says, "Hey, please fill in your shit." And I go, "But my shit's my shit. I don't want everybody to smell my shit.
But you want to be able to smell
My
theirs.
shit stinks. Absolutely."
So as far as you're not liking the government programs, but you conservatives that don't like the government programs, they sure seem to be all up in my bedroom and whatnot. All up
Not
in
me.
my house
I
and
could care
whatnot.
less what you're doing in bed or who you're doing it with.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Really?
And if you want to marry your dog, knock yourself out. I don't
that's
care about
refreshing.
that shit either. I really don't care what you do as long as you don't do it on my property or try to take my money so you can do it. Other than that, go do your own thing, dude. Life's all about being happy. If it makes you happy to, do whatever it is you're doing, do it.
Right?
That's the way it goes. But the Democrats are blaming Trump for everything Obama did, and Obama blamed Bush for everything Bush did, and Bush blamed Clinton for everything he did. And before long, we're going to go. I think it's all George Washington's fault. Actually, that's what I think.
Isn't it convenient how the parties switch back and forth, so you can do this blame game, back and forth, But to say it seems like two monsters or two heads to the same monster.
Absolutely.
Like they keep pushing that very same agenda, all of them, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. You take the housing crash, okay? Wall Street and the banks got all the blame, okay? But this actually started during the Clinton administration. This guy right here, it's his fault.
You voted for him too, from what I just had heard from you.
Hey,
Sorry to call you out there.
That was privilege. Okay, see, now you've turned into a leaker. Now you've turned into a damn leaker. See, that was confidential.
I'm all right with the
information.
leaks. We need leaks.
No, actually, it's mostly his, but partly my fault. Okay. Because we voted for Clinton. And Clinton came up with this brilliant idea in the Democrats that everybody was entitled to own their own home, whether they could afford it or not. So they call in, the various big shots in the mortgage industry, the banks, and they go, hey, we want you to loosen your lending laws and let people buy houses. And the banks go, well, that's a blueprint for bankruptcy because these people can't afford to buy a house. And they go, well, no, that's not going to be a problem. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are going to guarantee their loans. So when they don't pay you, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will pay you. And they go, sure, okay, we'll do that. So it rocks along. Bush tried to make some changes to it when he got into office, but overall he liked the idea too, because who doesn't like keeping the voters happy with, their own home? And the economy's going great guns because when you own a home, you got to buy all kinds of shit for it. So it was rocking along pretty good until it wasn't. And then both politicians, both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, unloaded on the banks for giving people predatory loans. That's what they were called, right? Predatory loans? Right. It was all their fault for making these bad loans, which the Clinton administration told them to make in the first damn place. So, I don't know.
Well, my question...
Should we blame the people that actually start the shit, or should we blame the people that are currently in office when the shit hits the fan?
You go first, and I'm going to go on this.
Well, I just, it's like the question is, Trump's blaming Obama.
Right.
Let's just go back, let's just stay with the housing thing. And so the Republicans are blaming the Democrats for starting Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which was during the Clinton thing, which was loaning to people who probably shouldn't have a loan. And so then Bush, although they did mention changing some regulations, it wasn't really any of those regulations, they didn't put them in, and they were definitely against reining in the banks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And so then this happens. The housing crisis happens, and it happens during the Bush's administration, but it's handed to Obama. And Obama is stuck with this big thing. And the first thing he did, I actually campaigned for Obama.
Oh, my God, I'm out of here.
Dude,
No, I'm kidding.
dude, I was in the offices making phone calls. And danged if the first thing he doesn't do is bail out the banks. And I knew he was full of crap. He was not the guy who I voted in there. Because the guy who I voted in would have said, suck it up. That's it. That's your deal, dude.
That was my position. Suck it up.
They can all just fall apart. They can all fail. They can all go. There's nobody too big to fail. And so, but they go ahead and Obama bails them out. But then they say, well, we'll bail them out on these conditions. And they make all these regulations so they can't do it again. the Barney Frank thing, right? The Dodd-Frank.
Yeah.
So they put in the Dodd-Frank regulations that say, okay, now this stuff can't happen again. And the first thing Trump did in his first 20 days was repeal Dodd-Frank. Why is that good?
You know what? I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to answer your question.
No, you go ahead. Answer the
Okay,
question.
you know what Dodd-Frank did? Dodd-Frank shut down your local bank. Dodd-Frank shut down entrepreneur availability of loans to entrepreneurs small entrepreneurs at their local banks. That's what Dodd-Frank did. It strengthened the big three corporate banks in this country and totally decimated the privately owned banks. Okay, that's what Dodd-Frank did. And if you want to get into the whose fault it was about the housing stuff,
collapse, right?
Okay, that belongs to Clinton.
Okay.
And the only way they got these banks involved in the first place was Clinton and what's that dipshit's name? Hang on a minute. I'm going to find his name. I know who I see him on TV all the time. He's such an idiot.
Donald Trump's who you're thinking of.
That's a good one.
I believe-
That's a good one.
I believe you
You
nailed
can
it.
go now. Bernie, not Bernie.
Better not be Bernie.
It starts with a B.
Start blaming Bernie.
Come on, it was in the notes. I read it. Barney, not Bernie. Barney Frank. I only got 30 seconds, but Barney Frank was a big proponent of this, and he is the reason why the Bush regulations didn't go, and he was the first one to unload on the banks. You know what? I want to thank my guests for hanging in with me for the next episode, Butch and Aaron, and we'll be back
You're
when
listening
we
to
pay
Your
the bills.
Choice and Your
See ya.
Freedom with Ron Green. Now go on and grab a snack and a Dr. Pepper. Ron Green will be right back. And we're back. This is Your Choice, Your Freedom with your host, Ron Green. Finding solutions for America's problems.
And welcome back. I'm Ron Green, your lovable, adorable host, and we're playing the blame game, and we are going to blame everything on Butch Lord and Aaron Knight, my lucky guest today.
Lucky.
All right.
How fortunate can you be? We will ignore the one-liners coming from the left. They're not really that funny. But anyway, we were talking about... particularly, we were talking. There are many, many issues we could talk about. Some of them started by the Republicans that wound up going to shit on the Democrat watch, in which case the Democrats, of course, get the blame. But the point is, does it really serve us? I mean, what good does it do to blame? And actually, we're never blaming the people that actually had the blame coming anyway, are we?
No, they always miss the point with where the blame falls. And the other thing is, like, again, you said it, why are we doing this blame thing? Let's fix these things
Right.
and let's address the issues. And the blame thing, it's one of them smoke and mirrors dealios where they keep trying to do that to us. And they did it through this election. It's really terrible how they did the American public in this election. They, you know, the news outlets, that genius who just passed on there, that was great at separating Americans.
Roger
Ailes.
Yeah, see, I
The
would
way
say
they-
I would say that the genius behind that would be the folks that started MSNBC. But you know, I could be wrong. No, I can't be wrong.
Well,
No,
they're,
it was a
guilty too.
follow-up.
They're guilty too.
Yeah, what they did is they followed that formula that
Right.
they came up with at what
MSNBC.
Fox News came up with the
No,
formula.
MSNBC came before Fox News.
But the formula for doing news the way Fox News does it,
MSNBC's changed.
which is separating.
years.
Yeah, and honestly, MSNBC started a lot more like NPR. It was a lot more like NPR,
Right.
Exactly right.
which just meant that it didn't focus on any one place or any one thing. It just talked about the issues in general. However, when Fox News came in and Roger Ailes and those guys took over, what they actually did was they tried to corner a viewpoint and project just to them and project what they wanted to hear. They could report what they wanted to hear. In fact, they didn't even have real reporters anymore. They stopped journalism altogether at Fox
Okay,
News.
well, I'm going to have to take exception to that because
Why is
Brett
that?
Baer is a good reporter.
I'm not even sure who that is.
Okay, he does the actual news, not the commentary news programs that are on during the day and after him. Okay, now then I will.
But he is a 6 o'clock evening anchor or something. Is that what he is?
Well,
He's like the evening anchor.
He'd be the 5 o'clock price.
The anchor,
right?
Yeah.
And this guy calls him regardless of the side. If it's innuendo, if it's not fact, if it's speculation, he goes, wait a minute, this is what we know. This is speculation, or this is an allegation. Okay, that's what a reporter is supposed to do if he has a guest on who's like a politician, which is what he will do. Now then, I will give you that. See, I watch Fox News all the time.
I'm sure you do.
And I watched MSNBC all the time too, because you can't be. You can't listen to just the people you agree with, or you're never going to grow intellectually.
I can't watch either.
Well, that's
I
because
I read, but I can't watch.
I have some reading with these help.
No, you really have to have a bunch of different sources.
You have to,
or else you're really, in this day and age, you're really blind to half the issues.
And the thing that I do like about Fox that MSNBC does not do is Fox always has someone on the other side of the spectrum. Okay,
Well,
and MSNBC
Sometimes they get words in.
In theory, they always have somebody on.
They do. They do.
And when they, but you see how it
MSNBC
always
does
works
not.
out. But do you see how it always works out? No, everybody does. They all do. Really, they all do, because that's the formula.
Have you
they
watched,
all put
Joe,
somebody else up.
Watch
Morning
the
Joe.
Morning Joe, right? Every single one of those people are on the left-hand side of every
Well,
issue.
Joe supposedly is a Republican.
Are you kidding me? That guy couldn't tie
I said supposedly.
Republicans'
And
shoelaces.
here's the deal, man. Really, seriously, comes back around to that main point of none of them really have the news in they're not really reporting news. They're reporting opinions,
They're reporting
and they're
opinions.
trying to move you to their side of the
Right.
issue.
They're- but the problem is they're presenting it as though it is news.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
terrible.
On
is
TV.
factual.
On TV.
On TV.
Now, here's what I'll give Fox News as an organization credit here, and I do not like Fox
I
News.
could tell that.
But
that's
they-
one of your many faults.
One thing
That's
they
the reason
do-
it's your fault, all this shit.
Yeah, it's all my fault. One thing they will do is, I don't watch it because it's all opinions, but if you go to a news app and you read Fox News, most of the time all they're presenting is the who, what, when, where, not the
Right.
why. And when they do get into the why, they have a big, all caps opinion right in front of the headline.
Right.
And MSNBC doesn't do that.
It's
You know,
all factual.
it-
Everything
do-
they
so-
say is presented
So
as
even though
facts.
they're bullshit opinions I don't agree with on their talk shows, it doesn't mean that they don't actually report some news. Because
Right.
I will read news from anywhere if it's a major organization,
Right.
as long as they state whether it's an
Yeah.
opinion or a fact.
We did a show not too long ago about fake news, and that's my point. Everything past 2 sentences, that's the news. Everything else is the story,
Yeah.
and you've got to be able to separate the two. Now then, as far as the blame game goes, once you start that, like he said, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's to take our eyes off of what is actually going on. The Democrats point at that big, heaping, steaming pile of shit that the elephant just dumped, and while they're doing that, they're cleaning up the donkey shit on the other side, and vice versa. Hey, look at the shit over there. They're trying to sweep their shit under the rug. So I don't see that it does us any good to give either side any credence when they start blaming someone else.
I think it's very myopic to begin with to blame a president for everything.
Absolutely.
That's just such a small way of thinking, to go, oh, well, that was all Bush. It's like Bush was really making any decisions? I mean, does anybody believe that? He was being told the decisions to make. He was there because of who his dad was, and people liked him because he was a guy you could have a beer with, right?
Absolutely.
But it wasn't him calling the shots. We know who was calling the shots in that administration. It was his vice president.
You think Cheney would? I want to tell you, now that I haven't met the guy personally, but I know people who have, and Bush is not the pushover that the left would like to believe that he was. And he's not nearly as ignorant as the left would like to believe.
I don't believe he's
he is.
ignorant.
Because, let's face it, that folksy hometown shit worked, didn't it? The guy got elected not once, but twice. Okay?
No.
You know?
As long as you believe those voter booths that end up in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go again. Yet
Now, hold on. On
another
this note,
conspiracy
you want to know who's
theory.
really at fault is people who came up with gerrymandering. That's where the blame falls. The blame falls in people redrawing district lines so that people aren't really represented anymore.
Well, see, there you got to blame the founders because they said that the state legislators would draw the electoral maps.
Yeah, but it didn't say you could draw them however the hell you want. Like,
Yeah,
you
they
should still
pretty
keep
much
it like
did.
you
They
can't
left it
carve
up to-
through
they
part of the
left it
city.
up to the discretion of the state. They also left up the voting rules and regulations up to the yes, you have a right to vote, but they can set up the rules and regulations under which you cast your vote.
Well,
in other words, you have to be here at Sunday at 10 a.m. and you have to have proof of ID, and you have to bring your second coming with you so that you can prove that you're actually human and born here and have a right to vote and all of that. That's the founders' fault. So the blame actually belongs to Thomas Jefferson. Am I right?
We're sitting here talking about the blame game and doing nothing but blaming. Listen, all right,
Absolutely. How are you going to? How are you going to talk?
we need
about,
to rope this in.
How are you going to talk about the blame game without blaming
Thomas
Jefferson? I don't know.
I think the point of the blame game is that it's totally ineffective, and again, it's just keeping us distracted from the issues or doing anything about the issues.
It does something else.
Just not doing anything about the issues ever.
It does something else. It gins up the hardcore base.
It divides us.
Right. And they want us divided. They need us divided. Because if we're not divided, then
We'd be more powerful
we're not
than them.
ginned up. And most of the shit that they do is inconsequential in that people won't turn out to vote for it. They don't care one way or the other. I mean, you get right down to it. Does anybody really give a shit about half the stuff that they want us to vote for? I mean, we care about the big things. We care about the things that affect our pocketbook or our health care or our safety. But the little minutia crap, we just really don't care about. You, in Texas, you come after our guns and everybody's going to turn out to vote. Screw you. But otherwise, very few people turn out to vote even in state elections.
Yeah, I agree. That's also a lot of the blame lies in people not showing up to vote.
Right.
There would
It's
be a
all
better representation of people if they actually voted.
And
Right.
if they actually gave a shit.
It's only the people that are on one side or the other typically that vote.
Right. The
It's
people
not.
that are moved and have an emotional state.
And I think the apathy comes out of the thought that for the last 40 years, you seem to have no effect no matter what you do. So people seem like, what the heck.
You have to own a corporation to have an effect
An
on
effect.
policy anymore.
Sure. So people feel like they don't have an effect on policy. They're not going to give a crap about voting. And the average person really didn't. It's just coming back around again to get the average people's attention.
Well, the reason that corporations, that people have the misconception that corporations have the effect on policy is because people do not engage with the person they elect to send down there. The bottom line is that they care about this stuff only when it pushes a button, and then they start calling in. And we're going to talk more about that in the next segment. I want to thank Butch and Aaron for being with us, and we'll be right back.
You're tuned in to Your Choice, Your Freedom with Ron Green, the show for conservative activists. Your host, Ron Green, will be right back. Your Choice, Your Freedom with host Ron Green is back. Which American issue are we fixing today, Ron?
What we're going to fix today is the blame game. I'm Ron Green, and I'm here today with Butch and Aaron, and they're trying to set me straight on whose fault it is that the world's going to hell in a handbasket. I personally feel like it's the voters' fault, and those who are old enough to vote but too lazy to even bother to register to vote. That's whose fault it is. Because as Butch said in the last segment, that and I'm sure that Aaron agrees, is that it's corporations setting policy and not the politicians. They're just kind of the lackeys.
Well, where are the politicians getting the money? They're not getting it from me.
Oh, sure they are. Didn't you?
Not like they're getting it from a CEO.
Did you or did you not vote to Bernie Sanders' campaign?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So your $5 went a long way to making me have to listen to all that nonsense. Okay,
It went a long way to our own party screwing us.
It absolutely did.
No.
And not only that, but Donald Trump told you that the Democrats were screwing him, and y'all didn't believe it until it came out in an email.
Well, I mean, a lot of things changed. CNN told us we were going to win, and it didn't happen.
But Donald Trump's fault that Bernie lost, but really it's Hillary's fault that Bernie lost.
It's the Democratic Party.
And it's Hillary's fault that Trump won. Everything that's wrong with the world today can be blamed on Hillary Clinton. I just discovered that. Even Barack Obama's failures can be blamed on Hillary Clinton for not beating Barack Obama in 2008.
Now, you guys are going to have to go to the video, who are listening, and go online and look at the video, because, man, did Ron light up when he realized that he had a place to put the blame. he had someone to blame, and it was putting it back on Hillary, because they need to take the blame off this Trump cat, because it's gone.
Are you calling Trump a pussy?
Man, no, but yeah. No, but yeah.
No, but yeah.
For sure, absolutely. I've got no doubt about that. I know that. If we were on the same cell block, I'd have his cigarettes. That's all I'm saying.
All right. He's an awful big guy. That's all I know.
He'd have his hand in your pocket. All right.
But honestly, though, the lighten up. Here's what I just want to say is, because it's a relief, because people, my brother and sister, are just two of quite a few people I know who really pushed for Trump and really got behind Trump. And then what they got behind was the idea of Trump, which was, like you said, somebody who wasn't a politician, somebody who was really going to come in here and make things happen, like we knew needed to be happening. Now, and in our lifetime, in our voting lifetime, and I'm just barely 50, 50-something, in my lifetime, we've never really had somebody outside of that. And we've always, no matter who was in office, we've always all said, we need to get rid of these damn politicians. We need to get rid of these damn politicians. And finally, my brother and sister were of the right-leaning, thinking.
Smart people, obviously.
Right.
Very intelligent.
Right, obviously. But
I blame the education system.
Right. But they finally had somebody, because see, on the left all these years we were getting these alternative candidates, the third party ones, and the Green piece and the Green Party, and that was keeping us kind of divided from having any kind of focus. But we had somebody. And that used to just, I know, grate their nerves, because we had something that we could say that you couldn't say about any of the other ones, which is they weren't like Ron Paul, who was not beholden to any lobbyists, was not beholden to any. And when we had that beautiful candidate right there, and it was perfect, because you could prove his track record where he voted. He always voted the way he voted for 20-some years in Congress, and he wasn't full of crap like everybody else. He voted what he talked about.
Are you talking about Bernie?
No, I'm talking about Ron Paul.
But it
right.
sure sounds
I
like
like
Bernie,
Ron Paul.
doesn't it? Because he's always voted
Sure
the same
sounds
way.
like him.
Well,
right.
because Bernie is, I was fixing to give him his dues on that. Bernie is exactly who he says he is.
But we've always had those kind of shadow candidates, so at least we could say we're not part of it. And I know that my brother and my sister and people like them who were right leaning were wishing they were out of that, because they do know, no matter what, that's always been the problem of politicians and whatnot. So finally they get somebody that's not a politician, and he's talking all the same things they want to hear, and here he is, comes into office and does exactly the opposite. And now they're all stuck with this in their bag. They're sitting here with this bag of shit in their hands going, well, what do I do? And it sucks, because they were tricked. They were totally tricked into this.
They weren't tricked.
And you've put your whole heart and soul behind this guy.
The problem with Trump is, and the problem with a lot of politicians, even Bernie Sanders, who's been in it for a long time, and Ron Paul stated this a lot. He says, one person cannot do this. We've got to clean Washington up. Trump believed what he was saying on the campaign. The problem is when he got there, he realized just how fucking deep it is and how little control he actually
You're saying
has.
you'd rather have an experienced politician
No,
who
I
would
do
know
not
that
wanna-
going in rather than somebody who has
Not
no-
only do I not want an
Don't
experienced politician in the off White House, I don't want an experienced politician as my senator. I don't want an experienced politician as my state representative.
But wouldn't Trump have
I
known
want-
how hard it was if he was an experienced politician?
I want a guy that has no agenda other than to do what he believes is going to be the best to help the country.
You mean like Bernie Sanders?
Like Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump or anybody else.
Not Donald Trump.
Not
Not
Donald
Donald
Trump.
Trump.
I know you don't believe that, but here's why I voted for him. I'll tell you. Number one, he was not a shake and bake politician. Number two, the Supreme Court. And number three, the economy. See, I don't
Okay,
give
so
a
let me
shit
just
about
ask you.
any of the anything else. I don't care about Obamacare. I don't care about any of the rest of it.
Let's ask
if,
you this.
If you get the right Supreme Court judge, which he did, if you he's not a politician, he's not saying what's politically correct. That's because he's in trouble all the time. That's obvious. And number three, if the economy's growing at 4 or 4.5%, then the country overall is in a lot better shape.
Then how do you explain our recent non-growth of wasn't it like
He's been in
0.3
there.
for the first
Listen,
quarter?
we haven't done tax reform yet, and we haven't.
And let me just ask you this: if okay, so you were against Hillary because Hillary was in the pocket of Goldman Sachs.
I know I was against Hillary because
Now-
she's Hillary.
Okay, and she was
Personal
and she
dislike.
was right. I got you. Personal dislike. But the Goldman Sachs connection was huge. You guys didn't like any of that, right? See, you're not
Honestly,
going to say it
I
right now. You're not
personally
going to say it,
don't-
are you?
No, I personally don't give a shit. Honestly, I don't care. And here's why: because I know that.
Because you know that he put in 5 Goldman Sachs cats
I
in
don't
there, so
care.
you
I
can't
don't
say
care.
anything
I
bad
don't-
now.
You know what? I want intelligent, successful business people in those places rather than politicians.
It's so funny that you'd say that.
And I really don't care about
What happened to
the
draining
things
the
that you-
swamp?
Draining the swamp. I'm talking about Democrats and Republicans. When I say drain the swamp, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about money, guys. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about.
And the number one people who control the money, the folks who control the money, the Goldman Sachs.
Right.
Right.
So what's your problem with that?
You guys were all against it during the election and talking about Hillary was in the pockets of them.
That's campaign nonsense. The Republican Party was all against that. I don't belong to the Republican Party.
Okay, so just saying.
Okay, I don't belong to either party.
You mentioned the economy, right? So
Right.
just saying,
See,
with this
I
guy,
look at things from a practical point
Right.
of view,
And the
all
economy.
I know is that if we get the right Supreme Court judge in there, I'm not going to have some PC police telling me what I can think.
That wasn't even his spot to fill. That was Obama's spot to fill.
and
That wasn't even his
Screw
appointee.
you.
He was a
No,
sitting
no,
president,
no.
and when a Supreme Court
Right,
vacancy came
during
open,
an election season. It
So?
wasn't
That
Obama.
doesn't
every
make a-
3 years
It
is an
was
election
my
season.
seat to
So
fill.
you can only fill
It's
it
an election
3 years
season.
out of every
It's
4.
my
right?
seat.
You have to take one
When
year
did that
off.
happen? When did they do that?
It's my seat to fill during an election season.
So you
And
think we
the
should get to
other
vote on
63
Supreme
million
Court?
people who voted for Trump. That's who gets to decide who the next Supreme
Why don't the
Court justice is.
67 million
Oh,
people
but-
that voted for Clinton get to
Because
choose?
she didn't. That's not the way the election system works, guy.
Right.
Otherwise, California would decide who the president was each and every time.
Well, I think California should have more representation in the Senate,
And I'll
and I
be
think Rhode
happy
Island
to
should have
buy you a
less.
one-way ticket to California.
Anywhere, really, in the West.
No.
If you do so okay, so your economy, your third favorite thing, because the first thing was a Supreme Court justice who you said was going to
make sure that
that the PC police were going to stay away from you, which is funny because he's the most politically correct choice. It's a liberal guy that would stay out of your PC.
Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit.
Okay, so but anyways, because the conservative
the
Supreme
PC
Court's going to tell you if you can. They're going to tell you how to work your plumbing if you're female and what you can do with it if you're female.
I don't care what you do with your plumbing.
You just don't want to pay for it.
I'm not paying for it. That's it.
Okay, but to the
you want an
economy.
abortion, go get it.
Right.
Okay? That's not on me. That's on you and the Father and God if you believe in him.
Right.
And that's your cross to bear.
Yeah, but this guy you just put in the Supreme Court doesn't think that way.
I don't care. he cares about he's going to rule the way I want him to rule on guns. He's going to rule on it the way I want him to rule on individual freedom, and not collectively you guys telling me that I have to be nice to somebody because they're of a specific race or religion or some other bleeding heart group. And you know what? I'm going to treat everybody the way I want to treat them. I'm not nice to anybody, and I'm going to continue to not be nice to anybody.
Cool. When we come back from this commercial break, I want to hear about the economy.
What about the economy? We're 100 days in.
I'm going to dial you in. We're going to talk about minutia.
We're going to talk about minutia. Okay, once again, we're going to talk about shit that has absolutely nothing to do with the real thing. Okay, but when we get back, I'm going to pin Butch down and Aaron about the economy. We're out of here. Come back and see us.
You don't want to miss what we have coming up on Your Choice and Your Freedom. Ron Green. And we're back. This is Your Choice, Your Freedom with your host, Ron Green. Finding solutions for America's problems.
Well, it looks like Butch has something to say, and from where I'm sitting, I might be getting handed my hat here in a minute and shown the door. But anyway, this is my show, just so you know, Butch.
All right.
Okay, so you can't actually kick me out, but let's rock and roll, dude. What is it that is on your mind?
Well, your third thing that you said that it mattered most about your president was the economy. And so he put in those 5 Goldman Sachs guys taking care of the money. The worstest of all, Steve Mnuchin, this cat who's now in charge of all that.
The foreclosure in chief.
Yeah.
What was funny about that? Could it be that he foreclosed because the people living in the house weren't making the mortgage payment? Is that a possibility? Or did he just walk up to people and say, hey, get the fuck out of my house?
Let me just say that's not really the issue here. It's funny you break it down to him kicking an old lady out of his house, but what it breaks down to...
It ain't your house until it's paid for, dude.
Gotcha. But what it breaks down to me is he was the only cat who made money on the collapse, on the thing.
No, he wasn't the only one, dude.
Well,
there were a lot of speculators that made a lot more than he did on the collapse because they were betting against it from day one. They knew it was a stupid idea.
Okay, well, my point being is he made a fortune off of the collapse and off closing out on old ladies who were 63 cents mistake on their bill. But here's the deal. That's not really the point of why or anything.
Cents.
The fact that he made all that money on
One
that.
person,
But what did he do right before?
I'll bet you that he made that right. I'll bet you that they went back at some point and made that right. I'm going to have to look that up. I don't think he personally said, hey, look at this. This bitchy old lady is 63 cents short. Go kick her the fuck out right now. I doubt he did that. Don't you? Don't you think it was probably a computer that generated a hey, she's short.
Right.
Go get,
Right. He didn't give a crap how much they were short or what they were short. Just they could close on him and make the money. Now here's the deal. The bottom line is that his company made money on that, right? But do you know that what he did before that? It's funny. He set that up when that was happening, when this was going down. So he sets up this company that makes all this cash on the foreclosure. But right before he did that, where was he? He was at Goldman Sachs as the CEO at Goldman Sachs, making the bubble, inventing the bubble, and jumps out right before the thing to make the money and made billions off of it.
Inventing the bubble. Making the bubble. Here we go. All right, we're blaming Goldman Sachs for the house.
I'm actually
collapse.
behind that.
Okay, well you're absolutely wrong too. Okay, so
but hold on. But
no. We're going to put blame where blame belongs. Blame belongs on the politicians who started the ball rolling in the first place. You cannot blame a capitalist for doing what comes naturally to a capitalist, which is to make money in the current environment in which they are in. That was a legitimate way to go. It was a legitimate business way to go. Now then, did they go ape shit and get in way over their head? Did they start messing with the rules and the system? Did the guys that were evaluating these mortgages overrate these mortgages so that it would be easier to bundle shitty mortgages and make them look better than they were? You bet your ass. But there's a whole group of people, starting with the politicians, the Clintons, the Bushes, and all of that are involved in this. This does not land solely on Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Goldman Sachs has too much say in our policies, but that's always been the case. I can't even remember, maybe you would know, the last time that the Department of Treasury head wasn't a Goldman Sachs product. I mean, even under Obama,
They're
even
smart
under
guys
Clinton.
when it comes to money. How do you think they got so much money?
But it's the money that controls everything. It's not us. It's not the politicians. It's the money. It's capitalism is the blame. Capitalism is to
now
blame.
You're in deep.
Well, I know how
shit.
much you love your capitalism.
You bet your ass.
Most successful people do.
Capitalism got me out of poverty. Socialism would have never gotten
Most
me
people
out
in
of
poverty aren't fans of capitalism.
The ones that aren't on the take, the ones that aren't looking for a free tit to suck, you bet your
Or,
ass. they're
just a living
capitalists.
wage. That would be nice.
Right.
A living wage?
Yeah. That'd be
Okay,
nice. You want them to procreate so much, how the hell are they going to pay for all that if you can't get a living wage in this country?
What's a living wage? It depends on where you live.
Enough to eat and have a home?
Enough to eat. None of the guys that work for me are starving, dude. Matter of fact, most of them are fatter than I am.
Well, then you
Although
pay
that's
your
not saying
employees
a lot.
well.
I pay them the going rate.
Most corporations don't pay their
Now
bottom
then,
feeders a going
Obama
rate.
would say that's not a living wage.
But
And in California, it's probably not. But we ain't in California. We're in Texas.
Okay.
Wages are relative, just like everything else.
Your lowest guys make more than the minimum wage, right?
Oh, yeah, because
Way
they're
more,
skilled
right?
people. They're not flipping burgers at McDonald's. They're doing actual productive, valued work. They have to have skill.
so you're going to go in there and flip your own burgers?
No, I'm not.
Well, a good thing somebody will do it.
You know what? Who should be flipping those burgers? A high school student, so he could understand the value of money before he goes to college and wastes all daddy's money. Okay? But no, no, that's a different story.
Yeah, you want
We-
to go on daddy's money, don't go there.
We got.
Also, wait, you're saying that so the fast food employees should just be high school students, exclusively high school
When
students.
I was coming
it's
up,
not a
that's
legit
who
job
worked in
for
fa-
grown folks. I get it. I
they're,
get it.
no, they're not jobs for grown people. They're not. I mean, they're
You want a high school kid
they're
in all your
entry level
kitchens, I
jobs.
gotcha.
Is that would you aspire to flip burgers your whole friggin' life?
But what if that's the lot you're handed? Like, what if your
Yeah.
mom's on welfare? It's not your choice. You
The
got 8
lot
brothers
you're
and
handed.
sisters.
The lot you're handed.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of cards you're dealt. You can always toss in the hand and reshuffle and deal the suckers again. There's always an opportunity out
Some
there
people
for,
can.
for
Especially
somebody.
a white person come up during the
Oh.
1950s, I'm sure.
Okay, right. Once again, this white guy came up through affirmative action, okay? Just so you know, there were a lot less qualified black guys getting jobs over more qualified white guys, not because of their skill set, but because of affirmative action.
Because they have to
Because of
prevent people from being
Because of
racist.
the injustices done by previous generations who had absolutely nothing to do with them. Okay, you cannot, but now that we're back to the blame game, you cannot blame the son for the sins of the grandfather.
So you shouldn't blame 8 poor children for the sins of their mother on welfare, probably.
No, absolutely
So-
not. It's not their fault that they're poor. If you want to blame somebody for perpetual poverty from generation to generation, cradle to grave handouts, you got to blame the federal government for that shit.
You know what's great?
You're not gonna. If you have no self-esteem, if you feel like you're a victim, you're not gonna look for opportunities. You're not gonna make your own opportunities.
But that's saying that everyone's poor has a victim mentality.
No, that's saying that everyone that's poor and is treated like they can't take care of themselves psychologically over a period of time. By the time they're grown, they're going, well, I need the government to take care of
Some
me.
people. Some people.
I need the government to take care of me.
But not all of them, and not most
So
of them.
I need to make sure I vote for, Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. Poor, pitiful me. There's no opportunity out there for me because I'm a dumbass.
This show was.
So now they're stupid, too.
Hey,
'Cause they're
you know what? You know why I can talk about this with such conviction? Because I was born poor.
I know.
And I would not accept that. I would not accept that was my lot in life. That's the hand I'm dealt. You know what? Fuck this hand. I'm going to throw that in and get me a new hand. And anybody can adopt that attitude. It ain't that hard. It's a mindset.
Just having the mindset isn't going to solve the problem, though.
So when we started this show, I think I misunderstood because we were talking about the blame game and how it goes.
Right.
But we've really spent the whole show blaming people, like actually doing exactly what we were talking about. And
That's
it's funny
what
because
happens. That's what
it
happens.
does. That's where it gets out of hand.
That's the point of it. You start off talking about the blame, and before long,
you're placing blame.
you're placing blame. And that's as natural as sucking air. Because even, like I said at the beginning of the show, when we were in elementary school, it was always somebody else's fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I had to punch you in the nose, it's because you did something. It's your fault. I didn't wake up this morning going, you know what, I'm going to go punch Aaron in the nose. No, Aaron pissed me off. It's his fault, right? He got blood on my hand, I find that very No, really, that's our nature. It's our nature not to accept responsibility. We have to be taught to accept responsibility. And if you can find a politician or a banker or a lawyer, a judge, a McDonald's employee, if you can find anybody who's willing to accept responsibility when they screw up, I'll be greatly surprised. There are a few. Somebody figured out in some administration, maybe it was Clinton's, that if you actually accept responsibility, the American people will respond
forgive you.
to that.
They will forgive you.
They'll go,
We're a country of second chances.
We
used
are.
to be.
We are. And I'm not blaming the poor people. I'm blaming the people who sincerely want to help, but are going about it in a totally wrong way.
Simon.
Man, that's well said.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you can't treat a child like a victim their whole life and expect them to behave any other way than as a victim when they become adults.
I agree. I just am against painting a broad brush that everybody who's poor or everybody who flips a burger at McDonald's, that's their choice. Like, the fact that they're working at all that's not taking a handout. If there's a 40-year-old guy flipping burgers, he's not taking the handout. He's working. He's trying.
What I'm saying is that to mandate that these people get a $15 an hour wage, which is considered a livable wage, at least in Texas, okay, is ridiculous. That's encouraging those people to stay there their whole lives flipping burgers because that's the best they're ever going to do. I don't believe
Well, what
that.
if that's okay with them?
I have more faith in people than that.
That's supposed to be a start point. It's supposed to be.
Exactly. It's not supposed to be the end. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm quite certain it's Aaron and Butch's fault, and I want to thank both of them for coming on the show and taking the blame. Come back and
That's a
see
wrap.
us.
Thank
Visit
you for
us on
tuning in to Your
Facebook
Choice and Your
and
Freedom with Ron
YouTube.
Green.
Bye.
We'd love to hear from you. Join the movement and voice your concerns at yourchoiceandyourfreedom.com. See you next time.